Fabulous. So welcome back to Favorite Friday. For the last case for this week, we are going back to Illinois. Specifically, we are going to two cities in Illinois because unfortunately have more than one death that occurred from our killer. And so I guess if you've heard this case, definitely note down below because our motive as to why she killed her victims definitely is crazy. And they definitely did not deserve what happened to them considering how young they were and their relationship to their killer, I guess is what I'm going to say for now. And so with that being said, if you knew anybody involved with the case, if you've heard of this case, then we'll know. I'm going to clear my replay and let's get it started. So Paula Marie Blue was born on May 21st, 1959. On April 10th, 1977, apparently she would get into a car accident where her brother Randy was killed. So obviously she survived, otherwise we wouldn't be talking about her. But her brother would sadly die. So then the family, I believe, as a result of Randy's death, would wind up moving from Missouri to Illinois, the state where our story takes place. So at a party in 1979, she would actually wind up meeting her husband, Robert Sims. They get married May 2nd, 1981. They would apparently have a daughter by the name of Lorelei Marie Sims, who was born June 5th, 1986. She apparently apologized to Robert because apparently she wanted to have a boy. I don't know if he wanted to have a boy because I feel like that would have made sense maybe if he wanted one and maybe she felt he was disappointed, but either way, she wanted a boy. And so apparently she would apparently have postpartum depression. And so then would apparently drown Lorelei on June 17th. So Lorelei only got to live to see like 12 days. So then she wraps her up in a blanket, pretty much dumps her body like 100 yards like away from the house. Calls a neighbor, goes to a neighbor's house, basically says somebody broke in, took my kid. So of course a claim like that's taken very seriously, as it should be, because there are people that are crazy like that. And then of course police are called. Police of course investigate. They interview Paula. And she pretty much says that she's waiting for her daughter's body found, but she pretty much like quickly retraces that and says, "Oh, I'm just waiting for her to be found safe." Because by this point, apparently she's only been missing for a few hours. Paul and Robert apparently now dealing with the trauma of them losing a child. They proceed to stay proceed to stay with Paula's mom for like 6 months. Apparently, Paula would actually wind up getting pregnant again, this time giving birth to a boy by the name of Randall on February 1st, 1988, so she does wind up getting the boy that she wanted. They agreed not to get pregnant again, and apparently living in Alton, Illinois, basically to start over a new life. Of course, they wind up getting pregnant again, this time with a girl named Heather. Heather's born March 18th, 1989. So then, of course, she proceeds to go suffocate Heather, give the same story about an intruder broke in, stole my kid, pretty much copy and paste, right? This time, Heather, apparently her body's found on the other side of town 4 days later, frozen, and it was later revealed that Paul had actually frozen the body to preserve it. Paul will eventually confess to both murders. In 1990, she's sentenced to life without parole. Randy, of course, will file for divorce that same year. He, of course, gets custody of Randall, the only surviving child now, but you would have to let Paula go see Randall at least once a month while she's in jail. Robert would actually wind up getting remarried to a woman by the name of Vicky on April 20th, 2002. In a sad twist, I guess to end the story on June 20th, 2015, Robert and Randall were actually killed in the same car accident by a woman by the name of Yolanda McNeely. Apparently she was like drunk. And so Yolanda was born on July 29th, 1967. Apparently she was drunk, and after the crash, she had tried to flee the scene because obviously she once again found, gets charged with DUI, and gets charged with fleeing the scene. Her bail is set at $325,000. She winds up getting sentenced to essentially manslaughter and only 20 years of jail. So in 2019, mind you, Paula's been in jail this whole time because her sentence was life without parole, and at the time they meant that. She pretty much applies basically saying, hey, I suffer from postpartum psychosis, which we know a lot more about now than we did back in the 90s, a prenatal disorder, and anxiety. So then the governor at the time basically commutes her sentence from life without parole to life with possible parole in March of 2021, and she winds up getting released of October that same year. So Paula's out now. All of her kids are dead, and so is her first husband, but she's out now, living her life. Where she's at right now, I don't know. From what I've been told, people do not like her because apparently she moved back to that same city. If that is true, I can definitely see why people wouldn't like you. So with that being said, that's the case of Paula Sims. Like I said, if you knew Paula, if you knew any of the children, definitely know. And so with that being said, I cover fatal females 2 times a week. Subscribe for more fatal females. I'll see you guys next one. Bye.